All right. Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, April 29th. We're taking a look at NASDAQ here. Yesterday, we ended up seeing a very nice test and hold of that previous breakout point near the 19,350 level of interest. You can see that gray zone on the chart right there. 2 hour, 2 hour chart is what we're looking at right now. Bit of weakness following that push off the open yesterday morning, that long that many of us caught. Price pretty much shows an upthrust of that prior day high. We see that bearish 2 hour bar and we get the move lower into that key higher time frame pivot where buyers again step in with a push during the afternoon and then into the overnight session that actually trades up into yesterday's high with a little, looks like a little break above yesterday's high. And now we're right back into, well, nearly right back into 19,350, that key level of interest. So the focus for today is this 2 day range that has begun to build out. We've got a pretty straightforward range here, 19,600 by about 19,250. As a reminder, this gray area is the higher time frame pivot. And so we want to see our buyers going to step in to defend either of these areas, or our sellers going to show a breakdown of this sort of 2 day range that we have in play. Now, yesterday, for the most part, yesterday was an inside day. We did have that little blip above Friday's high, but generally speaking, I mean, that's about probably more than 95% of the action is within Friday's range. So for me, I just go ahead and call that an inside day. So as always, with an inside day, we're looking to see which direction that inside day is going to be breaking in. Does it break higher? Does it break lower? And then whichever direction it breaks in, is there going to be any acceptance with that break? So that is the focus for today. The backdrop is neutral bullish. We've got the open here in 30 seconds. Let's see what we're working with. We had some pretty nice volume here ahead of the bell, a very nice short at VWAP. Now it's just a matter of waiting for the open. 5 seconds. We do have jolts today at 10 a.m. So watch that economic data. There's the open for you. Pretty much in no man's land here. So just staying patient for the moment. Nice push there off the open so far. See if 500 is going to trade. That's the upside level of interest. NQ into those 19,450. Yeah, YM into VWAP. Staying patient right now. Not a ton I can do with NQ in a no man's land. We need good trade location. All right, starting to come into 19,500. That level of interest will be on watch. You have VWAP right through there, as well as prior day volume point of control. Bumping into that value area low for the extended hour session. All right, NASDAQ getting into the session low. Still no man's land. I'm looking for either, I want to see a reaction at the overnight low or 350 or up above 500. Nothing I can really do through here. 5 minute, we do have a very small gap lower. Actually, almost filled already, which is in the middle of that prior day's range. Volume already a bit concerning. For the open. NASDAQ new low of day. Overnight low is at 378. Yeah, this may be a wait till 10 a.m. sort of morning. Let's see. ES made a new high of day. NQ not quite there. NASDAQ coming into the highs right now. Pretty slow open here. Slow morning. Volume. Look at that volume. There is no volume. Absolutely no volume. All right, there's your new hive day. Let's see how that 500 is going to be treated. You got VWAP right in that 500 area. Volume still below average. 15 minutes till jolts. All right, there's 19,500 VWAP session volume point of control. A lot of confluence in this area. You got ES up and through VWAP coming into 5550. Up and through. See a buyer show acceptance above 500 now. Still cash. Still cash. "13 minutes till jolts. Economic data at 10 a.m. Small overnight gap has been filled. NQ, new high of day. Volume's still pretty light here. Not that surprising considering the economic data coming out. Just a little boop. Little boopy. NQ, new high of day. There must have been some news, or what was that? Oh yeah, some China tariffs news. Jolts in 8 minutes. So assuming price is still in this area as we get into 10 a.m., 19,500 will be the main watch. Don't forget the context we discussed ahead of the bell. This is still all daily pivot, the breakout point of the previous intermediate term range. Weekly volume point of control right in here, 500. So that pre-data sample pack. Just a little nibble. There's the trail. So we see a decent extension, 50 points above the level of interest. You get the retest there. I'd like to see a little more volume in the market, but a little long setup for a scalp. Pre 10 a.m. directional strength, good location, a real follow through. So just trail out and profit. Wait till 10 a.m. now. And that's why you trail right there. That is why you trail. So again, to be a little too close to data for me to initiate some new entries. So we just wait for data now. Jolts in 4 minutes. NQ already starting to get those pre-data jitters. If you watch the tape. Yeah, cash is good right now. Cash is good. Two minutes. Volume is crazy light. My goodness. Yeah, it's very nice hold. 55.50 and VWAP. Very, very nice. All right. What do we have? 45 seconds. All cash into data. All cash. There's your NQ spread opening up. Looks like initial move is lower. $19,500 stays on watch. You can bring those intraday fibs. There's the 50. A little more volume coming in. That's good. See if it sticks. All right back into that structure. Just consolidation. Consolidation in the middle of a 2-day range. See if we get a new high of day here. Still just with the scalp. Yep, not really seeing an entry that I love. So it's the beauty of being a trader. If you don't love the setup, a discretionary trader anyway, if you don't love the setup, don't have to do anything. NASDAQ coming into session highs here. Let's see if we get the new high. There it is, new high of day. So last week's high, just overhead here, 562. And you have the 600 level of interest, then the prior day high and overnight high in that same area. There you go, new high, new high. Neutral bullish backdrop after price tested the key daily pivot during the overnight session. Context. Context helps. Context really helps. All right, we're getting into that 600 level of interest here. NASDAQ. Nice push on ES as well. There's 600 being tested. If you have any longs from lower, that's your target. Let's bring that fib back. So 50% is down there near 500. So there's a key area right here. That's 600 into the prior day high for the 2-day range. Sellers trying to step in there versus 600. Pretty slow morning on my end so far. Got one scalp during the regular session and one during pre-market. Volume definitely a bit of a concern here. Tapering down yet again. And Q coming into that shallow fib now. It's last week's high as well. There's your shallow fib. So we're seeing a retracement now of this morning strength. We'll see if buyers want to step in at any point again. But as of right now, price is rejecting the upper portion of the 2-day range. So yesterday, inside day, right? It's kind of where we're at. So buyers liked that shallow fib as well as last week's high. So lower quality setup for me personally. So no entry taken there. Staying very selective right now. The potential sellers want to see that turn into a lower high right there. And yep, there it is. There's your lower high coming back into that intraday structure. If you trade ES, you may want to keep an eye on that 55.50 again. 55.50. Yeah, Russell into the lows. Some nice rejections at VWAP there on Russell. For the RTY enjoyers. Looks like maybe another little news blip right there. A little zipper. Slow morning. Just a slow one. So we got just one scalp, one little baby scalp. One little tiny trade. NASDAQ session volume point of control up into 572. How's everyone's morning? How are we doing out there? What's it looking like? Probably a lot of cash. VPOC shifted and some sellers hit green. Very nice. Right, easy off the keys. Couple of scalps for green, one loss. Small scratch. Big red. Uh-oh, that's not good. Albert, small, one of one. One of two green. Nice pat. That's good risk management right there, sir. Good risk management. Dom did the 600 short. That was the good spot to be shorting, Dom. Edge points of the near-term range as outlined in the pre-market prep notes. Let's see how deep this retracement is going to go here now. NQ 19530. Staying patient. 19500 is the mid-range level of interest. If we're going to be treating this as a 2-day range. So you know what they say about ranges. D-Wall got the 600 short. Nice. Best spot for it for sure. So ES is cracking that 5550. Let's see if that gives us any clues for what NASDAQ is going to do here. You got Russell pressing the session lows now. Definitely volume improvement. Volume point of control shifted lower again, 19509. You got the S&P coming into session low. What is that session low? Oh, never mind. Spoke a little too soon there. S&P is not coming into session lows. So let's see if buyers actually step in here or not. Pretty muted. Mid-range level of interest. So if this area fails, if 500 fails, probably looking at retest of the session low. Range do be ranging. Yes, sir, Don. No volume here. Got ES, it's resolving lower. YM coming into session lows. Everything coming into the lows here. So let's see if NASDAQ follows suit, or if the 500 is going to hold. No crystal ball, as always. Purely a reactionary trader. So yeah, session low on ES is 55.30. Currently 55.40. There you go, rolling over, coming in at 61% fib. Value area low for the extended sesh. Near term range things, 2-day range. 2-day range, there it is. So there's your structure. Pre-market test of the near-term range low. Trade into the range high. Seller step in. Range continues. Big puke over at RTY. Over in the Russell, coming in a prior day volume point of control. Any RTY traders? Buyer's trying right there. Right from the 61% fib. Also known as the buy zone. See if buyers can show some follow through. That is the question. Buyers definitely trying from that old fib buy zone. See if they can break 19,525. Seems like there's some sellers sitting right here. There they go. They're trying their best. You got ES bumping into that 55.50 again. Look at this volume though. It's tough to have real movement if there's no market participation, if there's no audience. Definitely not going to see momentum. Momentum sort of moves. It's going to be more like drift. The old drift. The old drifter. There you go. There you go. Coming into last week's high now. That was not bad. That was not bad. They tested our patience through there for sure. Ended up taking a stop. Try it again with a small gain, trail out. Try it again. Try it again. Still riding. Still riding it. Sometimes it takes a little time to develop. Takes a little time, you know. Try and be the first one in, usually get clapped. Just wait for it to set up better. Simple as. Simple as. We're gonna raise that trail up to 560. Did the same thing, Ray? Nice. Yeah, so you can see I didn't even get the initial low because I figured that was not going to be the real low. Figured that wouldn't be the real low, but ended up still a little too early. Tad too early there. Try it again. Don't really want to give that one a ton of room, especially with the seller sitting at 525. So trail that one, and then if it continues to develop positively on the microstructure, then we'll just grab another entry. Is what we did, and that ends up being the zipper. So now 50, 60 points in floating profit with the trail in. See if we get a break of 5.6 right here. Or excuse me, 5.76. I'll lift it again. No, not quite. Come on, push. There you go. I'm bringing the trail to 6.5. Getting into some intraday resistance right here. And pretty close to the 600 level of interest. $53 points. There we go, Ray. Very nice. Definitely covers the expense from earlier. Small loss. No big deal. And let's see if the trail gets taken right now. Flipped red to green, does. Nice, man. Trail's just holding on. See if the trail gets taken. See if that trail gets taken. It's holding on right now. Overnight high. I'll tell you what, I'll let them have it at 595. In fact, I'm going to raise a little more right here. We'll go just beneath 70. A little bit of intraday resistance here in this area. And here's the trail. 569 trail. Wow. There it is. There it is. We're out. Not bad. Not bad. 3 for 4. 3 for 4. We'll take it, not including the pre-market trade. So a little patience goes a long way. Trailed out, trailed out. Nice work. There you go. There's an effective trail. There's an effective trail right there. Shaking out same spot. Yeah, I should have waited another minute or two. Should have given it another minute, but that's part of the game. Part of the game, Chrissy. So now we want to see how the highs are going to be treated if this pullback gets absorbed. Oh boy. So NASDAQ just kind of bumping into last week's high here. Yeah, the main thing I'm looking at right now is if buyers can crack this intraday resistance right through here. There's a seller sitting right at 580. And then target the session high, maybe give us a new high, and then maybe break the 630s. Yeah, maybe all-time high. Let's see. Let's see. What we'll give it, I think we'll give it, 15 more minutes here. But I feel that we have made the most of the action so far. All longs from 500. All longs from 500 and one stop. All good. Calling it right. All right, man. Take care. That seller's still there at 580. Intraday resistance 19580. Look at the volume now. Well below average. Yeah, the indicator is helpful. Definitely helpful. Makes the visual nice and easy. So giving it 10 more minutes or so here. I just want to see the 11 a.m. move. So a lot of low volume chop, low volume drift right now. I'm just waiting to see this 11 a.m. move, if there is one. Then we'll call it a day. Buyer's trying this 580 again. See this 580 reaction. 19,580 intraday level. There's your push. Almost a new high of day. Just shy of the highs. There you go, new high of day. And looking at the reaction to 19600 as we get into 11 a.m. Staying patient for the next couple minutes here. And the question is whether buyers can sustain the new high of day. Can they show acceptance? You have ES making a new high of day as well, bumping into the overnight high. There's 11 a.m. And Q kissing the highs. There's your new high of day. Now we get into prior day high 623. So like I said, once that seller at 580 is taken down, we're going to test the highs and then potentially up into prior day high. See if it actually materializes now. Got ES bumping into that overnight high, actually breaking the overnight high. Volume not really improving broadly, but here's that prior day high, 19623. Little micro retest of 600 right there. Mostly interested in the prior day high. Got no new position since that trade from earlier. No, no position. No, 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 no. Yeah, right back into that intraday structure point. Yeah, looks likely that that near term range is going to hold. So I was just sticking around for a few extra minutes, see if we got the break. Looks like no. So I'll keep an eye on the edge points of the near term range, basically 19625 by 19250. That is a wrap on the morning. Not the best action today, but like I said, feel we made the most of it. Got some longs versus 500. 3 for 4. We'll take it. We will take that. I'm going to call it a morning there. Got some other things to take care of. Hope you guys had a good session. We'll keep it going in the Traders Think Tank. As always, if you have questions, reach out to me there. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day.